Hello, Dave here with emergencyprepguy.com. I appreciate you stopping by. Today's video is one that I'm super excited about. I'm going to be building a second one of these hutches, like the one that you see behind me here. If you've ever seen the YouTube channel Slightly Rednecked, this is Chris's design from that channel. There's a couple slight variations that I made, but it's basically 99 to 98% his design. So I'm going to be building a second one of these hutches. This one I built for some quail that hatched a few weeks ago. They're in it now. And the second one I'm building for some chucker partridges that actually just started hatching this morning. So they'll be in the incubator for a couple of days, 48 hours or so, and then they'll be in the brooder box for a couple of weeks. The first step that I'm going to do on this second build is I'm going to cut all the 1x4 boards and 2x4 boards to the different lengths that I need them. And so I wanted to talk about those lengths really briefly for you in case you wanted to build that. You could take a note. That would be really helpful to you probably. So let's talk about that. So the hutch has 6 legs, obviously, 3 in the front, 3 in the back. The 3 in the front you want to cut to exactly 6 foot long, 72 inches. The 3 in the back you want to cut 3 inches shorter so there's a slant on your roof. So that would be 69 inches for the ones on the back. Okay, you see me in this image standing in front of a table with a bunch of lumber on it. This is all the lumber that I'm going to need to build this quail hutch. I have all the wood pre-cut to the lengths that I'm going to need. And so I just wanted to really quickly list for you or go through all of the boards that you'll need and how long each needs to be. So you'll need 6 2x4s. You see there's 2 stacks of 3 there that I have my hand sitting on. These are the legs of the hutch. The 3 front legs will need to be cut at exactly 6 foot long, which is 72 inches. The 3 back legs will need to be 3 inches shorter so that there's a slant in the roof. So you'll cut those at 69 inches. And then just in front of that stack, you'll see some shorter 2x4s, 5 of them. Those are cut at exactly 4 foot long. So there's 5 2x4s cut at exactly 4 foot long. Those are the rafters. And then just in front of that, you'll see a bunch of 1x4 material cut to different lengths. And from where I'm sitting in the picture in front of me off to my left, you'll see 4 other shorter 2x4s. Those are the supports that hold up the rafters in between the legs. And the 2 in the front are cut to 18 inches. And the 2 for the back are cut to 15 inches long. And as far as the 1x4 material, there's 3 different lengths. The long ones are 8 foot long. There's 7 of those. The middle ones are cut to 3 foot long or 36 inches. There's 4 of those. And then there's 5 of those little short ones you see all in a stack there. And those just attach to the inside of the legs of the hutch in between the floor rectangle and the roof rectangle of the hutch that I'll be building using the rest of the 1x material. So hopefully that made sense. So that's the lumber, and it makes it a lot faster if you have it all pre-cut before you get started. And then once you cut those, on each of the 6 legs, you want to measure exactly up from the end of the leg up 3 feet, 36 inches, and you want to draw a line there, and just be as precise as you can so that your hutch the floor of the hutch is level. And that 3 foot mark is where what I call the floor perimeter is going to sit. And then from that 3 foot or 36 inch line that you draw on each of the legs, you also want to measure and draw another one exactly 18 inches above that, because that's where so 18 inches from the base, the 3 foot mark, the base of this perimeter is where the base of the roof perimeter is going to sit. Okay, if you've seen Chris at Slightly Redneck's build video for his hutch, he just had hardware cloth here. He didn't have a solid board. This is actually the feeder that I built, which works really good. I really like it, but I'll talk more about that later in the video. So he just had hardware cloth here. Okay, hopefully you can see me okay. I've got the 4 sides to the one of the perimeters laid out here, and you want to pre-drill all the holes before you hook them together. So and you want to just drill through the 36-inch end pieces into the longer pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up like this, and then I'm just going to pre-drill probably 3 holes in there so that I have a better chance of them not splitting out. The other thing that you're going to want to remember is when you're even though you've pre-drilled, when you put the screws in, put them in till they're tight, but don't try to sink them. You know how, like with an electric drill, even a battery operated drill, you can really put it in there and sink it a little bit below the wood. You don't want to do that on these, because if you do that, even though you pre-drilled it, you'll split your wood out. So we'll assemble these 2, and then I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Okay, I got the first one put together. Again, just really quick, I want to show you the end. Again, you see how I have the screws. I pre-drilled the holes, and I have the screws in nice and snug, but just I haven't sunk them at all. And that's so that they won't split the wood. Okay, I just want to show you this. I've got the 4 legs on, and I've got the floor perimeter rectangle, 1x4 rectangle, right at the 3-foot mark on all of the 4 outside legs. And then I've put the 1x4s that I cut, I've attached them to all of those. Now when I get the other 1x4, I'll be able to just set it on there. They may not be perfect, but it'll make it a lot easier. Okay, so I pretty much got it positioned. Okay, I'm gonna apologize in advance here for a possibly shaky camera. I'm just holding the camera here with my hand. I just want to show you something. If you can see, I'm inside this. I've got the two perimeters built. I've got these boards in between. I've got the all the legs on it and the supports for the rafters all put on. The next thing that you want to do is you want to install what I call the door stops, because here's where the doors are going to be. So when the doors open, or when you close them, I mean, they've got to have something to stop against, or they would just open into the cage, which you wouldn't want. And so there's something called what I call a door stop anyway. So I'm going to cut boards that fit all the way around each of these doors, and they'll hang over about 1 inch or so, and that'll be something for the doors to stop up against. Where I have this sitting here, that will also give me something to nail the board against, the piece of plywood that's going to be the divider between the two. Okay, so this side that you can see here, this side is going to be my closed side. In other words, it'll be out of the wind. There'll be plywood, solid door, and then a wood divider here. I'll leave it a couple inches from the top so there's airflow, and there'll be a door in it. But anyway, what on the back way Chris did it is he put this solid piece of plywood in first, and where it went here, he just stuck the piece of plywood that's gonna be the divider that goes this way. He just stuck it right there next to the end of the plywood, and that's what he drilled into. Okay, I just want to show you what I've got done so far. So now what I got to do is cut the door stops for the top and bottom here, and this is the main thing that I wanted to show you. Since this plywood is 47 3/8, and from this side perimeter to here is 47 3/8. So now I'm gonna cut a piece of plywood to be the center plate, or the divider wall here. I'll butt it right up against this piece of plywood and screw in there, and I'll butt it right up against this door stop, this 1x2 door stop, and screw it in there, and it'll come right flush with the floor, the bottom of the thing. And when I'm deciding the measurements for this piece of divider plywood, your goal is to have between these two legs be exactly 36 inches. Like right now I'm measuring this and it's 36 3/4 inches. If I left it like that, I'd have a hard time. That's quite a bit wider than the hardware cloth roll that I'm going to be putting in here. Now, on both ends between the legs, it's exactly 36 inches on both of these. So it's just the middle. There must be a little bit of a bow. So how I'm going to resolve that is I'm going to measure between here and here, and move the boards in until it's exactly 36 inches. You know, or you could just minus the, you got 36 inches minus 2 of the widths of your 1x material. Just subtract that from your measurement too, as long as your math is good. The length of the plywood then you can just pull these in and tack it in, and then between the two legs, both on the top and on the bottom, will be 36 inches. One other change in procedure that I'm making from when I did it last time, and slightly Rednecked process. The result will be the same, but what he did is on this open side, where this back side here will have hardware cloth, what he did was, before he put this leg on, he cut a piece of hardware cloth and tacked it on there, and then put his leg on there so that it would hold the hardware cloth, which that's what I did on the first one, and it worked fine. The only thing I didn't care for about that is on this end, and I don't know if I can get it where you can see it better in the camera here, but on this end, the hardware cloth just butted right up against the board, and there wasn't really a board here. You can't really see on the camera. Let's see if I can lean it over a little bit. There wasn't really there wasn't anything for the board to hang, or for the hardware cloth to attach to between these two perimeters, and so I just left it a little bit long and tacked it into the side. I don't know if that's how Chris did it or not, but I just didn't like the look of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a 4-foot piece here by 20 inches or so and nail it in on the inside, and just make sure there's no sharp points to hurt anybody. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, I'm having to crouch down for you to be able to see me and the stuff on the table here. I'm going to show you how I designed this feeder. So basically, here's the front of the feeder, and the idea behind it is the food piles up here. this shelf blocks it. I'll show you a side view of it so you can see what it looks like. And it allows, it blocks most of the food, but allows enough to go around. And how I built this basically is just on my miter saw, I cut a 45 1x4 at a 45-degree angle. Did 2 of them, one down here. And then I didn't have a 1x6, so I just did a 1x4 and a 1x2 together and secured them with this on both ends. So this is 24 inches. Let me get where you can see it. So the feeder is 24 inches high by 30.5 inches, but with the side panels on it, it's another inch, so it's 31.5 inches by 24 inches high. This actually will have another 1/2 inch on the bottom, so 24.5 inches high is how that'll be. And hope that all made sense. If I confused you on the numbers, just rewind the video. Here's the part, and what I'm going to do with this piece of plywood is, you know, each side and the bottom are 6 inches wide. The 2 sides are 24 inches long. This bottom here is 6 inches wide by 31.5 inches long, and then I just cut 1x2s inside to hold it all together and drilled. It's pretty simple construction. Judging from putting feed into the other feeder like this that I made, I think it's going to hold about 8 or 9 gallons, somewhere in there. So the other thing is, let me bring this down. On this side here, on this side I'll drill holes where so there'll be holes that the quail can, there'll be holes here where the quail can stick their head through and eat the food that comes around. And the other one works really nice, works really slick. Enough food comes around that they got plenty to eat, but not too much. The holes that I drilled are 1.5 inches in diameter, and so they can stick their head in there. They got plenty of room to stick their head in. They can throw the food all they want, and they can't spit, you know, the food stays in the feeder, and so they don't, at least as far as I can tell, they're not able to spill anything. Okay, day 3. I just want to show you, today is painting day. I had most everything built by the end of yesterday, so now I've got the camera in my hand, so I apologize if it's a little shaky, but I just wanted to take you around and show you everything where I'm at. So, and I'm under a shade tree, so the lighting's not that great. I apologize, but this is the feeder, the back of the feeder. So I'll show you what it looks like on the inside, is like that. Now this back wall will be attached right here. It'll be screwed in here. You'll see when we're done. So that's the back to the feeder. This is the other side of the feeder, the side that faces the quail. There'll be holes about, and so I'll just be putting a bunch of holes, drilling a bunch of holes along there. And here's the underside with the feeder. So the feeder will come around that shelf. There'll be enough food that'll be able to get around, but not too much. And then here's the frames of the doors. Hopefully you can see it with the shade. I cut the long side of each door frame exactly 43 inches, and these were 14 inches and a quarter, and then obviously everything was cut at a 45-degree angle. Now here is the looking at what I've got done. I like the inside of the I like to have the inside of the closed part white, and then over here where the feeder is going to be, that'll be white, but everything else is navy. And as you can see, I've got those couple of 1x2s. Sorry, I've got somebody working on the solar system here today, so if you hear a little drilling in the background. Now, the simplest way I figured out to know what the distance of this, how wide this board needs to be so that these legs are 36 inches wide, is measure the end ones. So when I measure on either end from here to here inside the perimeter, that's the same width that it'll need this board, or same width that I'll need to have this piece of plywood, because we know this measures 36 inches. Okay, it's 34 9/16 from inside to inside here. And so that's the width that I measured and cut this piece of plywood. And so if you see, if I measure across now, I apparently didn't cut it exactly perfect, but it's pretty close to 36 inches. Okay, so we're winding up here, getting close to getting done. As you can see, I've got all of the door stops here on both of them done. I've got everything painted. I've got the distance across from here to here in the middle, between the middle two legs, just a hair over 36 inches, so it should be fine. Here I've got the feeder on. You can see down there. Here, let's bring it around. You can see down there the feeder. I haven't put any, I haven't put any food in there yet. Got the feeder on the back. I've got, and then in here, about 2.5 to 3 inches, somewhere in there, is where along here I'm gonna drill some holes, so that again, they're 1.5 inch diameter holes, so that the quail or checker partridges, whichever I end up having in this one, can stick their head in and get food. I'll show you that when I get that done. So only thing I got left to do is the doors, which the doors, I don't know if you can see them over there. Sorry, I got a bunch of mess stuff around, but right there's all the cut up pieces of doors for the doors. I just got to screw them together and stick a piece of plywood painted white in the back of one of them, and hardware cloth in the back of the other, and then hang them. That won't take very long. Then I got to do the rafters and roof, which actually goes pretty quick too. Okay, day 4. One thing I would have been done day 3, which was my goal, but I didn't take into consideration the time it takes to wait for paint to dry. I've been doing a lot of waiting for paint to dry. I'll spin this around. See, I've got the rafters getting painted. This is the bottom that's going to go here on the enclosed side of the hutch, where the sandbox is going to be. I've got the feeder in here. I've still got to drill the holes. So basically all I've got left to do is drill the holes in the feeder, run the hardware cloth from the feeder to this wall, staple it across there. Then I got to flip it over, put the hardware across the bottom and staple it in. And then that's where I'll nail that, or screw that board on there on the bottom here, and then flip it back up and put the doors on, which I have both doors made there. I just haven't put the white panel on that one yet, but got the hardware cloth on the other. Well, the quail hutch is done. I'm gonna spin the camera around so that I can give you a tour now that it's finished. Okay, so the one that I just finished is this one here. I know that one, that quail hutch was sitting over here, but I wanted the two open ends together, so the one that was here is now down there, and the new one I just completed is right here. So let me give you a tour of it. So you can see I've got the roof on, and I moved the quail that I had from there into this one, so this one is already occupied. So let's open this up. These little guys are pretty paint's still a little bit sticky. Okay, so you can see here's the inside. I put sand in this one. So yep, that's them. Trying to think of what you would want to know. If you're just like Chris did, I have an open couple inches at the top there to give a little airflow. And in my first quail hutch that I did, I had this this 2x4 all the way over to the wall because I'd wanted to give them the entire thing. But then I got to thinking it was too stuffy. So on this one, I put it at about 38 inches. So here on this side, oh, there is one thing I didn't finish. I thought I was all done, but I still got to paint the lid for the feeder. Forgot about that. And I oversized it a little bit, but that's another story. So here's the feeder. I've got food in it already. So I did the holes a little bit higher on this one because I raised the feeder bar just a little bit, and so a little more will be able to come around. I hope when I put young ones in here, I'm pretty sure that I think I have the holes right at about 3 inches, or maybe just a little bit less than 3 inches from the wire. So hopefully, little guys, if I raise a batch of quail and when I put them out here, if they can't reach in those holes, I think they'll be able to, but if they can't, I can always put another feeder in for a week or something. But so that's that. I'll show you the feed inside the feeder. So just so you can see that I've got it in there. I'm sure you've seen feed before, nothing exciting. So the feeder is here on this side. It's 6 inches wide, and I really like the design. I got a comment on one of my videos saying, now all you need to do is do an automatic waterer. I plan on doing an automatic waterer, and I'll have it here in between the two. And that's why I have a gap here and a gap here. Though there's a board there that I'll have to, on both, that I'll have to drill a hole in, but that's where I'm going to run the water system through. So I'll show you that on my old, it's old, it's only a week older than this one. I just finished it a while ago too. I had put mulch in here, and on this one, and I had this 2x4 over against the wall, as you can see from the dirt line. But I took all the mulch out, dropped the board, cut it off, moved the 2x4 over, attached the board and filled it with sand. I think I'm gonna like the sand idea that Chris had better than my mulch idea. Just didn't seem like the quail were digging it like a chicken, digging and turning their poop under like a chicken. Anyway, so that is the finished hutch right there. That is it. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you watching. If you're watching clear to the end, thanks for doing that, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Thanks.